The Doula Center is where pregnant women go to gestate in peace. Now, the Doula Center is only necessary for special women because once the family structure is set up in its proper order, the Doula Center will be in the center of the village. And the women will naturally go there at the time they discover they're pregnant. And they'll stay there until they give birth because they're going to get certain things in the Doula Center that they're not going to ever get in the hospital. The hospital was never meant for sick people. You got to remember the hospitals were hospitality places for sojourners to go at night. Those were the original priestesses of Neith. And that's why the nurses wear the white uniform. Those were the uniforms of Neith. Those were her dress. You go back and look in the pyramids and you'll be surprised at how much Neith is dressed like a modern day nurse. Because her place of hospitality had nothing to do with the places of sex that they turned into brothels in the rape campaign, in the subjugation of the woman. And so now we got the whole story laid out in front of us when Constantine is putting this cross-dresser in the place of the Black Madonna in Rome. And because he done this, this dude been masquerading as the Black Madonna ever since. He's an imposter. The whole male priest, the only priest should be there is what you call your Swiss Guard, which is the protectors of the external reaches of the Madonna priesthood, or what they call your Catholicism, which is the cataholics, which goes back again to the stars tying into the planet, which is your zodiacal sign of Leo, which is the Sphinx, which is the female guardian of Earth, who sits and waits and looks to the west for the Son of Man to rise in the place where the three Orions, Orion Township, and Orion Township and Lake Orion, where the three Orions are in the right hand of the mother, which is the state of Michigan, which is in the land of the chief of the two feathers, which is the land of the one who speaks the truth. The two feathers is he's standing on his second. All you Moors know what I'm talking about. He's standing on his second and he's speaking from the position of truth. And if he's speaking the truth, that'll go tied directly back into your revelation of he spoke and the two-edged sword came out of his mouth. For the truth cut both ways. It cut the righteous and the unrighteous because don't nobody want to hear it, because don't nobody want to be accountable. But it's too late. We've all been held accountable. All we got to do is accept that we have been held accountable. We paid our pittance, and now we need to unify in order to escape the destruction of the unrighteous, because nothing unrighteous can ascend, only the righteous. And they're all humans. Check this. All humans now have the right to ascend. Don't mean they're going to ascend. That don't mean they're going to taste eternal life, because you have the right to eternal life. Only you can forego that. Some of them thought it was a joke and literally for money on the table, stacks of money, sold their soul. I found a way out for them. Mama said find a way out for them. Now, whether they wise enough to make allegiance to her or not is up to them. But they sold it. And now they are a permanent slave in eternity to Enlil. He bought it. You know who the devil is now. And you know why he can transform himself into an angel of light. Because he's an avian. He's an avian. When I say avian, I mean he's from a bird clan, a reptilian bird clan. He's a shapeshifter. He deceived Lilith twice, Neith. He pretended to be the Adam Cadmon who couldn't perform to get her drunk and try to rape her. She called his ass on his bullshit. Then he disgraced her and called for her to be judged. Then he pretended to be the son and shapeshifted and condemned his so-called sister and to the dismal abyss for 1,000 years. And they went on a smear campaign. They feared her. They called her a rebellious woman, just like her mom. I did the story of Lilith already. Go back and check it out. You don't know what I'm talking about. The unity doctrine is the only redemption for humanity as a collective. Otherwise, the only ones who will ascend are the ones who have been doing what is considered to be righteous, not by what no book say, because righteousness is written in your heart. It's written on your soul. No book can tell you to do what you know in your heart is right. If a book tells you to do something you know in your heart is wrong, no matter how hard you try, something in you is going to rebel. Something in you is going to rebel. Now, so the black people paid the price, a small group, and it caused a conflict among black people. Because some black people said, you assimilationist ass Negroes, all of y'all need to die too. Because they were sent by Enlil to undermine the program. Because he don't never want nothing associated with the woman to prosper. Every time the woman want to do something, he want to kill it. So we got to restore ice skating. We got to restore ballet. We got to restore the singing. We got to restore the dancing. Everywhere you look, we have to see singing and dancing women and children with no alcohol, no PSP, and no LSD, and no cocaine, no heroin, dancing and singing, you're going to immediately feel that energy. You're going to immediately feel that energy shifting. When we flip this grid, anything that ain't right won't stay. I'm going to say it again because phone's going to be dead soon, and I only put enough on to do this video. I only wanted to charge enough. I wanted to cut off at the end of the video. It's about to do that. And so the ritual dance has to be specific. It has to be performed and written by the modern day women, incorporating old techniques and new techniques. In other words, tying alpha to omega. Y'all got to pay attention. Tying alpha to omega. Because as it was in the beginning, it has to be in the end. So now, all women have mitochondria. And the white man hate the white woman because she had the first right to ascend before him. Now you know. The white man hate the white woman because she had the right to ascend before him. Because her genetics was cleaned up first at the mitochondrial level. And she was able to give and receive love as a mother. And it pissed Enlil off. And he screamed, and they say his voice was like many waters, and it shook both the heaven and the earth. So now you know. Babylon versus Egypt. And this is why your Egyptian pantheon and your Egyptian story, if you go back, you'll remember in the story of Isaiah. Nope, not Isaiah. Elijah. And they poured all of this, they got all these priests out here trying to ignite this pyre of wood on fire. And he asked them about his Egyptian deities. Where your Egyptian guys now, huh? They ain't around, are they? Watch man. Fire. Same as in the story of Exodus, when they talk about the so-called Moses going there, and Moses is asking them, where are your Egyptian gods now? Never telling you Moses was an Egyptian god. Never telling you that the Moses that was raised in the Pharaoh's house was the Pharaoh to be, and became the Pharaoh. And that is this is why the Jews are waiting on Moses. Pay attention. The Jews are waiting on Moses because the Moses is the son of man. And they know that the Christ in the New Testament is not a man. So they're not waiting on her. The Zionists, as they call, the ones that wrote the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, which is the current blueprint for world domination that they following, not followed, past tense, ing, current tense. They're doing it now. If you see everything that they're controlling in the protocols, and you step back and you look at everything they control in real life, and they are exactly the same thing, it takes all of the guesswork out of it. It's the blueprint. But where did they get it? And who is these elders? These wise elders was a military contingent put together, not even in Israel. They was put together in the mountains of Europe where the catastrophe was discovered. And these people were called Khazars. They put together the protocols, the Khazarians. The Khazarians are not even human. They are Gulam, a whole race of Gulam, and they're trying to overthrow humans, both reptilian and mammalian humans. And they're trying to get in the middle of the conflict and put themselves as the rulers of it. But Enlil did that. Enlil did that. And so you have two other groups that didn't know what to do because of the war between the Moors and the Christians, the Islamic Moors and the Christians. They became Hebrews as Sephardi and Ashkenazi. And that pissed off the guy they called Hitler because he knew that all three of these groups was not the real so-called Jew. Not the madman they made him out to be. You got to remember that the victors, that the history is written by the ones who win, not by the ones who lose. But if you look at the context, what happened to all? They all came to the United States and got jobs under Operation Paperclip. All the ones who wasn't part of Enlil's domination over here was tried in Auschwitz and executed. Or not Auschwitz, they was tried in the Geneva Convention. They was tried in Geneva, Switzerland, in a neutral country, and put to death. But he wasn't bad. And this is where I'm gonna end this at, because we in 1940s now, and we came a long way seeing how blacks accepted this oppression. They needed to set up a false Israel to deceive you from where the real Holy Land is. And they looked all over. They was originally trying to set up in Brazil. You gotta remember this when we talked about Brazil earlier in Brazilianization. They originally was going to set up in Brazil, what we call Israel today. They first had to get enough sympathy on the global platform for the world to accept a hostile regime being installed as a foreign government in somebody's home. You needed a whole lot of global support, meaning that the military support for it must be so overwhelming that wherever they do it, everybody going to comply. So now, it's more effective to start a new nation on the backs of the wealthy than it is on the backs of the poor. The wealthy can come into a strange place if they got the means and pay everybody that's already there to do their work. Whereas the poor got to physically do the work and build it themselves. Basic economics. Now, that is the state of Israel as a distraction from the true Holy Land. Because the true Holy Land is never going to be called Israel. It never has been and it never will be. It's in both the Kemetic hieroglyph and it's in the Sumerian tablets as the Absu. The Africans call it Zululand. And it also encompasses a very specific area called the Congo. That's the Holy Land. I'm telling y'all where the Holy Land at. If you don't believe me, go send some reporters to ask Credu Mutwa or Goodwill Zwilithini, where is the Holy Land? But I'm gonna tell you this, as soon as they ask them, they're gonna ask you where I am. They're gonna flat out say, where is he? If you ask either one of them two, they're gonna say, where is the son? They're gonna want to know where I am for sending you to ask them. So when every one of your reporters go over there and ask them, let them know that when they ask them, they're going to want to know where I'm at, and they're not going to be friendly. All of that friendly shit going to be gone as soon as you ask them these questions. Where is the real Holy Land?
If you see something that you really want, it's going to require you to perform or to do certain efforts in order to attain that. If you just want a motherfucker to pass you something because of who you is, then you in the wrong house. You better take your ass down the street. And that house of entitlement, yeah, they trading titles on that motherfucker on a regular basis.
That's a good one. You got all the good stuff.
So, yeah. So, so I don't want my children to be suffering with poverty, but I also don't want stuff so easy where they don't have no grit, where they can't bounce back from shit. These the softest motherfuckers I ever could imagine to be on earth right now in this time. When we grew up, we used to get ass whoopings and whoop ass.
But you know, it's that tablet. It's that tablet, it's that phone, it's those video games that we, you know, guilty as charged, tell them to go play on so we can have a moment instead of engaging with them. They're not outside having life experience with each other and interactions with each other. So we have to start doing that again. Like with my sons, when they come over, they get annoyed with me, but we're going to play a board game. And I know it seems real simple and like I'm not really teaching them life, but it's just even those interactions that build character and kind of build resolve and strategy. Just, you know, something simple.
Look, when you sit them down to the board game next time, explain this to them. Life got rules, and ain't nobody gonna teach them to you.
See, and that's the thing that I feel like.
Hold on. These board games is a game with a set of rules that can apply somewhere else in life later on if you learn the rules to this game. You practice it so that you understand how this game works, so when you see it play out in real life, you know how to win that game in real life. So you think we playing board games, but really I'm giving you tools to go in to the world and come out successful. This is why I'm teaching you how to play Monopoly, because it's always a motherfucker gonna try to monopolize on everything you do. So you need to be able to see the game before you ever learn how to play the game in business. So we teach you to play it in a board game. Right. And the more board games that you learn as a child, the more tools you have to navigate life with through the path of least resistance, meaning not getting beat to death by life.
Right. Even like with Connect 4, like just teaching them to slow down and look at what the play is going to be, trying to have like predictive, you know, thought process or programming in a sense, like what is this person's strategy? That alone is a tool for life.
Yeah. See, like I like to tell my son about stories about people like Attila the Hun, in Genghis Khan. They saying once upon a time it was this guy named Attila, you know, and I'll go into like leadership strategies of Attila the Hun to share with him little things that can be given to him in story format at an early age that will sink into um, his mind to the point where it'll become part of his original program. So now he's a natural born strategist because he already know about Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, Hannibal, Muhammad Ahmed, you know what I'm saying, Shaka Zulu. He know about the great strategists of history at an early age because Dad gave them to him as little stories to tell him while we was on our drive to go fishing.
Right. And he's going to remember all of that information too. Like, we have to get back to storytelling, like, and really also like we have to get back to listening to the elders when they speak and not really, you know, and not ignoring them or not being like, oh, you know, I don't really rock with that elder because they look this way or that way. Like when
Right. Well, they weaponized the age. They created ageism
that too.
to make the youth think that the older people, oh, that old motherfucker don't know nothing. And the youth, and now the old people feel about the youth, somebody need to go do something with them little wild ass motherfuckers. The disconnect come in because when, like I said the other day, I was telling the story about at Big Mama house. You know, she got uncles that still stay there, old as hell. Probably left, got married, divorced, came back home to Big Mama house, right? But when it's time for the family to pass out the food, they have a harvest festival, which turns out to be a family reunion. All of the women that's part of the cooking committee, they go straight to the kitchen. All of the ones that's in charge with setting up the table and shit, they go straight to the dining room. Don't nobody got to tell them when they get out the car, they ain't seen each other in 5 years. They know exactly where to go.
Right.
Right? Because they done been to Big Mama house, they know how shit run. Right? If you don't know what to do, go ask your Aunt Ruby. She gonna send you down there to your Uncle Cleve, and he gonna take y'all where they cleaning the fish at and show y'all how to make sure y'all know how to clean some fish when y'all come back to Big Mama house next year. Right? So they use the family members to teach the history of the family around family functions. This is why they don't want us gathering. They don't want our families having family reunions. They discourage it because as soon as we figure out enough of us in one family, we ain't came on no goddamn boat. One of these niggas gonna say, hey, y'all contract is up. The date was this. We came back for every fucking thing you son of a bitches took, plus motherfucking interest and tax, and you have to go now. And that's exactly what happened. Because since we didn't have a family reunion, I had to go live with different family members in order to get that part of the family's piece to the puzzle to put the family back together. So I went to stay with members of both sides of the family, my mama's side and my daddy's side. They all, I'm the most loved, most respected, or the most despised and most rejected. So since I'm the most loved and respected out of all of the motherfucking despised and rejected, that make me be the black sheep out of all of the black sheep that the black sheep love the most. And that's how you get to be a chief on the land.
But that's the other thing is like, because, okay, so how can I put this in words? We have to have enough humility to be able to see our elders and respect them as such, because people are appointed for a reason in the season, and you have to respect that. You have to respect your position and play your position, and everybody's not a chief. Some of us are Indians, and you got to be okay with that. And you got to knock that
Yeah.
jealousy out the window. And, you know, for anybody who doesn't have that big mama or that family to go to, then you got to start looking for those role models and elders to have that family reunion with.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of us hold on to childhood grudges that if you was an adult, you would have made a similar decision yourself, all things being considered. But people hold on to the childhood grudges. Some of them, like, I don't blame a molested child for never forgiving their molester. I ain't gonna never tell them to do that. But for the kid that got the ass whooped for being a little badass kid, you probably didn't get enough ass whoopings. That's probably why you ended up where I was at. I ain't got no motherfucking sympathy for that shit. It's part of life.
But that's where accountability comes in, because you have to be able to say where you did wrong and where you did right, where you fell short and where you succeeded or exceeded. But you have to
right, and that's the part of shadow work that everybody fear. Because when they realize that they ain't